welcome to another broadcast of The Soul of the Everyman on the ArtistFirst Radio Network. All past shows are available in podcast form. You can pick them up at ArtistFirst.com. We welcome your questions and comments. Hit us up at DJ@ArtistFirst.com. And now here they are, Michael and Margaret Lyons.
And thank you very much, Z-Man. And we are broadcasting to you from Bimini, or somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle. We can't figure out where we are.
Well, there's a lot of stories about the Bermuda Triangle.
There are a lot of stories about the Bermuda Triangle, but we are not broadcasting from Bimini. We are broadcasting from the backyard.
Another beak.
Another beak. And so, because it's a lovely evening, and why not? And so, if you hear giant wasps or chainsaws, that's why.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. And tonight we're going to talk about that perennial favorite topic, failure. This is a great show already. Well, actually, I don't know if it's Margaret, if it's failure, but really it's the concept that people kind of get into their heads that they can never fail. And I think that's something that comes to you later in life, or rather, let's back up. I think you said earlier today when we were thinking about what we would say about this topic is that, failure is how you learn everything. If when you're a child, the first thing you do, you start to learn to walk, you fall down. And I think none of us at that very moment think about that. We say, well, we want to walk. We get right back up, we fall right back down, and we do that repeated process over and over again, landing on your amply padded rump, with whatever you got for a diaper or anything, or a cushion. And it never occurs to us that we should give up.
Well, you see everybody else moving around.
Right. And it's like, well, they can do it, so I can do it. And somewhere a little bit further on in your development, you get told, or you come to this erroneous conclusion that somehow you're never supposed to be wrong, you're never supposed to fail. I think that you get told for some reason or other that you should know something, that why can't you do that? Why aren't you able to do X, Y, or Z? Or the other wonderful thing people say to each other, especially to other to children and so on. They say, you'll never be able to do that. You'll never be able to do X, Y, or Z. Just give up. Don't keep trying. If you try something, it's like the old saying, was try and try again. Well, it's like try something once, if you fail, never try it again. And I think that also becomes this aversion to failure and the aversion to ever being wrong. And there's no surer way to fail than to never try.
It's something that, in general, we want to be right. That's just the internal.
I have a question for you there, though. Why do we want to be right?
When you accomplish something, you always feel good. It's like, I did it. And you want to be able to do things. It's just part of your nature. You see other people doing things, and you want to be able to do also. It's just an internal. It's like, gee, you're walking. I want to walk, or I want to eat. I want to eat that on my own. I do it.
Well, I think that's the correct. The desire to want to, but I'm asking a little bit more pointed, a little bit different thrust on my question is why do we feel that we should never fail at anything?
Well, you go from, it's a mindset.
Right.
You want to do it. You just want to be able to do it. And then the idea of I want to do it right comes in. And the definition of right, I think, is the problem, because some people think right means perfect.
Yeah.
I want to do it perfectly instead of I want to do it. And I gotta learn how to do it.
There's certainly, there's a good side to that, right? Too. There's certainly the idea of wanting to do something perfectly is what brings you to genius, or brings you to full development of your talent. If you have a talent, how do they say? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Right? Practice, practice, practice. But at the end of the day, I think where people fall down is they give up on themselves, or they judge themselves very harshly when they don't succeed right away. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, is when does that start? Where does that come from?
It's usually an outside expectation that's imposed on you. This is the way you do it right, and you're supposed to do it right. You know, those phrases, everyone's heard those.
Right.
You're supposed to do it right, and if you don't do it right, you either get, it's okay, just try again, or, well, see, I thought you weren't going to do it right.
I told you wouldn't be able to do it. It's the old "I told you so" chorus. You know?
Well, it depends. It's, again, who is it that said that? And did you look at that person and say, well, that person's supposed to know, give them the authority to know, and then you're saying, well, okay, then that thought process must be the one that is correct.
So let's say we learn to either be tolerant of failure and know it's a stepping stone, because you know, if you talk to and read, let's say, but if you talk to anybody who's succeeded and they're honest with you, what they'll tell you is, well, you know, it took forever. I literally had to work at this 24/7, 365 forever.
Well, it took a long time.
Right. Well, I mean, our quote this evening is from a very a wise person named Samuel Beckett. And I won't talk about just this moment. We'll get to it in a little bit. But the whole concept of basically sticking to something and never giving up on it, never giving up on yourself, is the only way to succeed. But yet we have this, too many people I know are so afraid of failing or so afraid of trying.
I think it has a lot to do with the definition of perfection in your head. Because what most people, when you say perfection, there is this very high bar, and everything is in place, thus and so, and you got to hit all of that in the first try.
So first of all, you said unreasonable expectations.
That's the concept of perfection, as opposed to the concept of excellence. I don't see that being taught. What is the concept of excellence?
I think that word frightens people, because I think that the things we just said, perfection and excellence, get conflated. And you're right. You're very right that they're not exactly the same thing. But even before you get to excellence, and certainly you're never going to get to perfection, so that's a very unreasonable goal. There's this accomplishment ladder, let's say. I don't know if it's a ladder, but there's stepping stones. If we generalize it, everything in life has a progression to it. It has growth. It has steps. You don't come out of, you aren't born into the world able to do everything that you'll be able to do a year later, 2 years later, 10 years later. So the accomplishments of this go-round of your existence, or the accomplishments of every aspect and stage of your life, have to be enough. In other words, you have to be, you have to take the victory, even though it's not the end of where you want to go. Let's say the very first time give an example. I can't play any musical instrument whatsoever, but I've heard that the very first time you are able to pick out a song, and we very recently were attending a recital where a song was picked out, and it was beautifully done. It was certainly not something that you would entertain hundreds of thousands of people with, but it's a beginning, and the reward of that accomplishment, even to get to that point, takes a certain amount of dedication. It takes a certain amount of stick-to-itiveness, and then you have this, I did something, you know.
It's the concept of give credit where credit is due.
That's true.
To be taught that, because that's something that's got to be taught. If you have done whatever it may be, some people only feel that a goal has got to be this big thing, and do not appreciate the small steps in between in order to prep you to be able to shoot for something way high. Building a foundation, whether it's skill sets or techniques.
So let me back that up, because I think there's something right there. So there's this external sort of goal, this appreciation, this I'm going to be, let's say, just say famous or something like that. I'm going to be, my name's going to be out there, and everyone's going to know me for X, Y, or Z. And getting there is, if that's the only thing, if nothing else will satisfy you, if every other accomplishment along the way is you're met with, well, that's just another failure, you're never going to get there. You don't have that internal I'm pleased with me kind of step. And I think you're also exactly right. You know, you have to teach that to people. Not the, well, let me just say one more thing. Not the every little thing you do requires a trophy, but you're saying, yep, that was good, and you've done another step, and yet there's many more to go, but you have to give, as you say, take your victories, take your accomplishments.
Well, it's setting an internal goal, a realistic one, based on what you've done and what you've learned and where you could possibly go. It's not, and that is an internal thing. That's an individual thing. Because people have a tendency to want to say, I know precisely what you can do. You should do this. And they paint this huge picture of what you should be doing because I know better than you. Okay? Excellence is the understanding that there is a potential within you for something wonderful, something that you know that you would be so pleased with just attaining, and nothing else matters except doing it for yourself. In fact, most people who achieve things, they're not even looking at the rest of the competition. They are doing it because they are internally driven to do it because they want to be able to say to themselves, I did it. And it's it's something that each one of us has. Our spirit is such that we're here because we would like to do or learn or be, just to be able to take steps, to move in a direction. And there's something internally pleasing to be able to move in the direction you've chosen. And that's not talking about repercussions necessarily. It's just the action of being able to choose and then take a step. That appreciation, it's very simple, but it's vital in an internal development. Because people in general, it's one of the reasons why people have a tendency to look outward and try to figure out, well, are you like me? Are we alike? Are you mirroring me?
Yes.
And that is an expression of that ability to be able to say, I can do. I see this other person who's similar to me, and that's what they did, so I can do.
I love all that. The first thing that you said I thought was really, really insightful. Is in order to do this, you have to be in a being state. In other words, failure and success are external concepts. They're external value judgments on you. You're a failure, you're a success. In the being state, it's the process that matters more than the failure, more than the success. And so to get there, so if you define your goal by either succeeding at it or failing at it, whether it's good or bad, whether you're good or bad, then what you're doing is putting your I into it,
Ego.
and your ego into it, and also you're identifying. You're saying, I failed, I succeeded, I am a failure, I am a success. So that's all out here.
Mm-hmm.
That's all not in the being state. And so when you teach in the beginning, when let's say you're learning to walk, the 2-year-old, or in this case a little younger than that, the toddler who's learning to walk, the pre-walker, is not saying, I learned to walk, I succeeded or I failed every time I fall down, I failed. It's just, you say the being state is the desire to do what others are doing. I can do that. And then the process of doing what I can do, pulling myself up and standing there very shakily and then sitting back down, then moving a little bit in one direction or another, then letting go with one hand and then grabbing on again. All those pieces could be considered failures or successes, but I think the key is that neither one matters to the toddler. The toddler's just focused on, I want whatever's across the room, or I want to run like those people are running over there. I want to be able to do. I want to do it. I want to be the thing that I am not right now, which is the walking person. And the being state of getting there, whatever you do on the way, doesn't identify you.
The only thing that matters at that point is I can.
Right.
You want to get to the point where internally you say to yourself, I can do this.
I like the earlier part. Even better than that is I want to be this.
Right.
I want to be this.
I can.
I can do it. Right. I want to be this. I can do it. And then on the way, you no longer are saying the failure part or the success part, whatever part of the journey you're at, matters anymore. I think there's still, regardless, you have to deal with it. Let's say you have a big goal, whatever the big goal is. You want to be something which is extremely difficult to do. Pick your goal. On the way, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have failures. On the way, you're going to have little successes and little triumphs. Celebrating or getting through each one of those things, whichever it is never the identification. You don't say to yourself, because you failed, I failed. You don't say to yourself, because you got a little bit further along, that I succeeded. You just say, my being is moving in like you said, the choice. I'm moving in the direction that I want to go in, following my bliss. Maybe like camel, you're following your bliss, you never get there. Or if you do get there, you realize that it was the journey. It's not even the destination at the end of the day. That all the joy you got in getting there was really the being state.
It's interacting. It's living life.
It's living life, which is, I think, the best insight that you get from the 2-year-old is that at the end of the day, the goal, whatever it was, the walking, the running, the riding the bike, it never is the end. There's always the next thing, with the 2-year-old mind, until somebody finally, I don't know, for whatever reason, they try to stop you. This is, I don't want to say evil, but it's certainly a terrible thing to do to somebody, to discourage them and tell them that they're not good enough and they'll never be good enough, or they shouldn't be trying even.
Right. It has more to do with understanding that there are certain limitations that you have to present to this individual, because if they go past it, they'll wind up hurting themselves.
Right. Well, that's
It's
advice.
It's a very practical aspect to it. But the problem with that is there are different people who want to say what is dangerous and what's not, what you should be doing and what's not, even though it may not necessarily be dangerous in that point, but they want to tell you should or you shouldn't. So that's when stuff starts getting sticky, because you realize that this is the next step that you want to take. You want to learn how to be able to fly.
Right.
But they're stopping me from throwing my body off the roof.
Well, but I like the fact that you said sticky, because I think that part of this, let's say this kind of bad advice or bad guidance that you get is sort of to keep people under control, or to keep them from going beyond. One of the people that we used to listen to back a few years ago would say that the associations you have, the people that are around you, are comfortable with who you are. They're comfortable with where you are. In some ways, they don't want you to advance or to reach your goal, because from the point of view of their own egos are bruised by having someone who they know go beyond,
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very selfish thing to do to somebody. In essence, you're reining them back and making them less than they could be. You mentioned the fact that you have this wonderful talent, this excellence, this thing within you that you could do, and to rein them back and make them less than they could be, because it threatens you, the other. Their success is somehow a judgment on you. Why aren't you successful? This happens to people. You see it, in interactions with those around you. Sometimes a lot in sports, in the sports arena, in the kind of the vicarious, parent figure living through a child figure, etc. This kind of toxic
relationship,
but it's really it's a caging of the freedom, a fettering of somebody who can really fly. As you said, they're telling you things. They say, "Oh, that's too dangerous." No, I want to do this. Is within me. No, it's too dangerous for me, for you to leave me. They're turning it. They're saying, "Oh, for your own good." And I love those phrases. For your own good, you shouldn't do this, but it's really for their good. So this, I think, is a learned aversion to failure, because what they're doing is putting failure on you. You're saying, if you do this and you don't succeed, you'll be a failure. You'll.
Well, the core of that has to do with the fact that the identification of the parent, let's say, is the child as an extension of themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is no separation between the person of the child or the person of the parent. And that's when it gets sticky, because that interaction where, no, you shouldn't do that because you shouldn't try to leave, is part of the fact that you, as a child, have no rights to say anything. I'm the adult. I will tell you what to do. And that is not encouraging the development of the person, of the soul. What it is a hook or a chain to the little soul, the young soul, so that you are looked on as no identity except, you're your mother's daughter, or you're your father's daughter, and that's your identity. You are the daughter of such and such, and therefore all the accomplishment goes to the parent.
Yeah, that's a very nasty cultural thing that is part of some Asian cultures and other cultures too, where you have no identity, and anything that threatens your identity that's been imposed upon you, just to say, for argument's sake, our family would never do that. Our family doesn't ever, pick a thing, become a speed skater or something. That's going to bring shame and dishonor. But that's what's within this individual. That's what's within this person. This is the excellence. This is the goal they can pursue. And in essence, you're saying that reflection of this new growth and new identity has to be suppressed. And I think that is it's almost a different topic. We've gone in a different direction, but that teaching and others, where in essence you're being taught to identify yourself with either, in this case, the family unit or the societal unit, or in other cases this idea that if you try and fail, that you'll never, that in and of itself is enough shame for yourself or for those around you. It's a control thing. It's a hook, as you just said.
It's a hook, and it's a very old way of functioning as a tribe, because back then it literally is the male is the head of the house and the female is taking care of the family, but the decisions were always made by the male. And it is prevalent in Asian culture. This is something that most of the Eastern world has no idea what it means to be under that particular kind of pressure.
Most of the Western world has no idea.
Excuse me. Most of the Western world has no idea of what it is to live under that kind of dominance, where it is only one voice that has any authority, and everybody else gets authority off that one voice. Each person does not have their own personal identity. You are only an appendage, and the one voice tells you what your role is in the family. So it is the core of many things as far as I'm concerned, and mainly servitude.
Well, I like what we're talking about here. Go ahead, finish up. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
And it is the foundation of a lot of slavery.
That's true, too.
Okay. And that's where I feel very strongly about. Because if you look at your child as a possession,
right,
and their only purpose is to bring, say, money into the family or something into the family, they will farm you out for whatever purpose that may be. And it used to be considered indentured servitude, but frankly, it goes into much darker places.
It does, and I think I don't want to take away from this conversation, because this is very, very true. The individual is the one that's being wounded in that case, and you're right. In the West, we don't have that cultural wounding, but we do have, I think, a different way of wounding the individual, which is this idea that, again, what we're talking about, if you don't succeed immediately at something, you shouldn't try. And it's less inimical from the point of view of the culture, and certainly, but I think it's as damaging in some ways to the individual, and certainly to pursuing your bliss. But you know what? Let's take a little break, because we're kind of a little bit all over the place. And when we come back on the other side, we'll talk more about failure and success, and we'll bring in our quote, because that's always a good thing to talk about.
Rick Riordan fans, love mythology with plenty of action and humor? Destroyer's Blood is for you. The new fantasy novel by award-winning author Michael Lynes is book 1 of the adventures of Devkalion, the Blood series. Follow Dev and his magic sword Betrayer as they are suddenly attacked and forced to return to Olympus to fight in a war they want no part in. The world of men and gods is about to be destroyed by Zeus's ancient foe, and only Dev and Trey can stop him. The conflict never stops, and the amazing twist will have you on the edge of your seat. Act now while the ebook is on sale for only 99 cents. Destroyer's Blood is available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere. And while you're there, get the free prequel, It's in the Blood, available for a limited time. The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed is the latest book from Michael Lynes, the award-winning author of There is a Reaper. Featuring 13 original stories, this wide-ranging collection has everything. Forbidden love, gods versus demigods, weird invading aliens, sexy seductive artificial intelligence, and unusual passion between the living and the dead. All set amidst fantastic worlds of pain and loss and boundless joy. From the sublime to the macabre to the bittersweet, The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed will leave you breathless with laughter, brimming with tears, trembling with suspense. Available now on Amazon.com, Google Play, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere.
Hi, this is Hannah Ruth from the band Wild Hum. Check out our new Americana Soul CD, Wild Hum, at our website, wildhum.music.com. And you are listening to the ArtistFirst Radio Network. Thank you.
The wait is over. First Blood, Book 2 of the Blood series is out. Your favorite bad boy thief Dev is back, and the beautiful and deadly Trey is right there with him. She is sharp, sexy, and full of surprises. Their adventures continue as a new power arises to threaten the world. The heart of creation is under attack, and time is definitely not on their side, as they battle against their enemies' undead hordes. Can they unlock the hidden power that can defeat him, or will his forces draw first blood? Get all 3 installments in the series. Book 0, It's in the Blood. Book 1, Destroyer's Blood, and the new release, Book 2, First Blood, today. Available in ebook and paperback format on Amazon, Kobo, Apple, and most other fine e-tailers.
There is a Reaper is the story of 5-year-old Christopher Aaron and his life-changing struggle with leukemia. Winner of both the Indie Bragg Medallion as well as the reader's favorite silver medal for memoir, There is a Reaper has more than 100 Amazon book reviews and a 5-star rating. It has been described as life-changing, spiritual, a must-read. Just released on Audible and iTunes, this memoir is also available in paperback and on Amazon Kindle for only 99 cents. Get your copy of this life-changing memoir today.
You are listening to The Soul of the Everyman, commercial-free on the ArtistFirst Radio Network. All past shows are available in podcast form. Pick them up at ArtistFirst.com. Back to your hosts, Michael and Margaret Lyons.
That's right. For the next half hour, we'll be totally uninterrupted by commercials.
That's right.
That's right. And we do that for you people. But tonight we're talking about failure, so let's get back to that.
Now back to failure.
Actually, we're not really talking about failure. And we did kind of digress at the end of the last half hour. But let's back up a little bit and just talk about a little bit about our quote. I'm going to read it because usually I fail spectacularly at these things, and so I have to keep on trying.
That's right.
This is a quote by a gentleman by the name of Samuel Beckett. He's an Irish, I believe, a philosopher. If not, he should have been. And the quote goes like this, and you have to imagine it being said in a gravelly Irish brogue at a bar, probably a very smoky bar. Ever tried? Ever failed? These are rhetorical questions. No matter. Try again, fail again, and fail better. And I added when we read this the first time, I said, fail harder. Because this encapsulates the spirit of all of us. It's the spirit of the toddlers trying to learn to walk. The innate within our spirit is the willingness to try. It's the reason that we are here. It's the reason we all exist here and live the common dream. Is because we came here to try. We came here to try again. We came here to learn something. And the only way you learn anything is by trying. We came here to fail. We came here as fallen, flawed souls incarnate in flesh, pieces of spirit, to fail and to try. So the no matter part of this quote, Margaret, is what really mattered. What hit me is it doesn't matter. That's what you're here for. You're here to try again, to fail again. Make a mantra out of it. I'm going to fail again today, because the key part of all of it is you get up again, and you fail better the next time. You fail harder the next time.
I would say I am going to try again.
Exactly.
Today. Because that takes in the fact that you may fail and you may succeed. And so let's focus on trying again.
Exactly. And what is trying but process? It's what is trying but the goal, the journey, not the goal. The journey is trying again. I believe the same person that we used to watch once in a while would say in context, you may beat me today. You may put me down on the ground. You may beat me today, and I lose. But don't get used to it, because I'll be back tomorrow. I will get up. I will put my big boy pants on, and I will come back ready to fight again. So losing. And by the same token winning, but losing is not someplace you live. You don't be a loser. You also don't be a winner. You be a trier. Being state is the trying state.
Mm-hmm. And it's whether or not you've accomplished this goal or not. But it's, again, this is the focus is taking the next step, always the next step. And I think the other problem that happens is that people become too goal-oriented. Mm-hmm. They believe that I've got to get to this goal no matter what. And they lose the quality of the process. They lose excellence, choosing only the end goal, and the excellence that is within you will not be able to be expressed. And some people feel like, we made it already, and you're sitting there going, but internally you've cheated yourself.
Well, I love that, because I think that The phrase "the end justifies the means" is exactly that. It's nothing. Nothing matters on how I got there. It's just that I get there, and that is so opposite to the excellence of the process. Excellence is actually in the process.
Right.
Excellence is honing something over and over again until it becomes sharper and more useful. The process of learning is what acquires knowledge. But I'm reminded that we come here and dream the common dream to further our goal of coming into the fullness, let's say the unconditional love, something which you can't achieve. We mentioned earlier, last half hour, about perfection. Perfection is something that cannot be achieved. Unconditional love is something that cannot be achieved. But the process of trying and failing and trying and failing to get there is what hones you. It's what teaches you. It's what goes into, to harken back to another part of the soul of the Everyman, is what goes into your experience bank, which I'm probably saying wrong. Am I saying it right? I'll keep trying until I do. The experience thing that we do.
Eternity.
That's the one. I knew I was doing it wrong, but I didn't care because the process was there. And so the eternity bank that I meant to say, he said lovingly, that's what's going into the eternity bank is the process.
Yes.
We remember the show we did on Tecumseh, and it was actually 2 shows. And it was live your life, own your death, but it was the living of the life that didn't mean that endless life is the goal, because you don't get that. What you get is that which goes into your eternity bank. I did it right that time. The eternity bank, and that you bring back with you, and you're still not done. You're going to try again. You're going to be reincarnated, a new soul, a new flesh incarnated, a new set of experiences to put into your eternity bank, and another round and back in again. These things, this excursion from spirit into flesh and via a soul and back again, this endless cycle, the samsara cycle, if you will, is a cycle of excellence or pursuit of excellence without ever possibly getting to I'm done. You never reach unconditional love. Nor should you. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, the cycle of samsara is specific to the Hindu religion.
It's an aspect of it, though. I don't mean that's what we're all doing, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
And it's understanding that the definitions of what we're speaking of haven't really been defined. Reincarnation in general is a soul living one life, dying, and then coming back, that same soul coming back to relive. But that is not what we're referencing at this point.
Right.
It's understanding that each soul is quite unique and its life experiences are quite unique. So when that soul ends, it's like closing of a book. But the life force can continue onward to another point. It is not a linear thing. It has to do with consciousness.
Exactly.
It has to do with the eternal consciousness, the eternal spirit that you are. And that was a soul that happens to be part of something greater. And it's understanding that, because reincarnation is defined in English as that same soul coming back over and over again, and that's not the case.
It's too limiting in one way.
Well, it's not enough information, is what I see. People get into these concepts of studying what religions are without really truly understanding what is meant by the words that they're using, and these words go back to the original language.
Right.
You know, what is that definition of soul in Sanskrit? What is the definition of soul in Hebrew? You know, it's like it's too superficial.
Right. And I think, again, this is interesting in another sort of topic, but to go into that a little bit, the world concept in each one of those things, those religions, if you will, is an aspect of something which is far greater. And what we mean to say here is that you just take it as your current soul in your current body. You're here to learn. You're here to try. You're here to move yourself through your life never in the hopes of finishing. There's no point at which in your life which you should say, "Well, I'm done. You know, they can take me away now," because first of all, you don't know that. You can't know that. By its very nature, life is indeterminate, and there's no one to say that any aspect of your life can be called complete, because you have no idea how far the tendrils go, how much something that you do that appears to you to be very insignificant and small matters to the overall, to all of us here, to this common dream, to the individuals that you interact with. So your piece, the part that you can see, that you think you know about, is very, very limited versus what's actually happening in the overall sea of consciousness that we are in here. And so your piece, the piece that you're concerned about, is a journey. It's a process. It's you coming here to fail and to succeed, but overall to just be in consciousness, which is neither defined by failure or success. And that's the traps. The failure is a trap.
The success is a trap.
And I was going to say, and the success is just another trap.
It's understanding that you're here to try.
You're here to try. That's the takeaway. I mean, that's exactly it.
And the how do I say this? Everybody used to quote Yoda, and there is no try, there's only do or do not.
I love that quote.
Okay. But it's not...
I do. Go ahead, sorry.
What the reference is the living state. Okay? The try is understanding that you must make your decision to move. And when you move, it either happens or it doesn't. The do or do not is always a reference to an individual trying.
And I think it's always intention, you know?
The decision has been made to try. Because you can't make a half a decision on trying.
Right.
There's no like half try.
And I think it gets turned around, because I think what people thought was being said there was that the quote is, "There is no try," but what was in the context, what was being talked about there was someone who was afraid to fail. Who was saying, how can I do this? You know, I'll try, but really all this is saying is like, well, I'll humor you, and I know I'm going to fail, was what the actual thought was.
And it is, again, coming back to the definition of try.
Right.
And you understand what the concept of try means, is that you've made the decision that you are going in this direction.
Right.
Whereas the decision that was made was, let me humor you so I don't have to hear your voice again.
Right. And the that word try trips people up, because the I'll try, it's almost like saying, rather than make a commitment to, well, do you think you can do this? Well, I'll try, and that gives you the out. Well, I couldn't do it. No, and the quote, which is attributed to Yoda, but it's very appropriate in this context, is you don't. When you say "I'll try," what you're meaning by the try is, well, I'm not going to make a commitment. You know, if it happens, it happens. It doesn't, it doesn't. Don't blame me. And the actual do or do not is, as you said, your intention is this, whatever this is.
You commit to.
You commit.
You commit to the course.
Right. And that you could say, use the same word. You could say that's a try. But the key is the try here is not wishy-washy. It's true intention. When you're going to say the thing will be done, you commit your full life force to it. That doesn't mean you're going to succeed, but that doesn't matter anymore. Because the other I'll try is, well, you know, I don't think I can do it, and I'll try, but if I fail, it's really not, you know, it was, you know, really not me. It was no blame associated with me, you know. The other one is I'll fail and I don't care if I fail, or I'll succeed and I don't care if I succeed. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll give it a try.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work, then you won't try anymore.
Right.
That is the referent that most people think of as try.
Exactly.
And that is not what your life is. Let me give it a try and see if this works. It's like, no. You are on the path of least resistance. And that has nothing to do with the accomplishment internally of who you are. When you do something like that, you have to admit to yourself that the foundation of that statement is your fear.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. Exactly.
The foundation of how you make your decision is everything.
Right.
When you try, truly try with 100% of yourself, it is not based out of fear. Fear has no foundation in that kind of decision. And that is living your life without regret.
And could you say the basis of the fear that they're trying to avoid?
The fear is not being able to get the end that they want. It's a goal-oriented, not understanding that the foundation of the try continues. It may not happen now. Try. May not happen now. Try. But you continue learning with every process.
Right.
Try this, try that. Let's try something. This is where the end goal is. This is where it need be. Let me try, claw my way to get there. Oh, that's not working. Okay, that's fine. Why didn't it work that time? Oh, okay, let me try it this way. Try again, with understanding that you've already made the commitment, you've made the decision. You are not on the path of least resistance.
Let me see if I can just say the fear, the try. When you say I'll try, what you're really saying is the fear of failure is my most concern. Is what I'm. And I'll say, I'll try, but don't blame me if I fail. In fact,
I'll give it a try.
Give it a try means I've already failed.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fear is the failure. The fear of failure is the trap.
Well, that is the foundation of the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. And so, to not to harp on it, but that quote that you mentioned is really what it's saying is your word try and my word is do. And when you say I'll do it, it doesn't mean I won't fail at it, like you just said. And it even doesn't matter if I succeed at it. You said I've committed my consciousness and my being to doing. I've made that decision. We call that a try, But we call the other one a give it a try. And maybe that's the big difference. When you say, I'll give it a try, when you say, I'm afraid, and I don't think I'll win, and I think I'll lose, but I'll give it a try. That's all in fear. And the other one is all in faith. It's all in grace. It's all in, I don't care if I win or lose. I've detached from outcome, which is another wonderful phrase. Outcomes don't matter in this case. Commitment and intention matter. So,
I am.
I am. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And when Yoda says I do or do not, it's really saying I am, in this case, lifting the spaceship. I be lifting that thing. The I'll try is, well, I know I can't do it, and I'm so tiny. All that is whiny failure stuff and judgment already. You've already judged. If you say I'll try that way, you've already failed.
Well, you've made the decision that failure is the only thing that's available to you.
Right. And
instead of letting that be an open space for an event to happen, and then taking the step with the foundation of I try this.
And I think I love when you said space, because you open yourself first as part of your decision. You open yourself, you fill with the power that you possess and power that you do not possess, but you have an opening for. We'll call it whatever you want to call it, grace. It comes in because of your intention. If your intention is 100%, you've opened up to power beyond your own, beyond that which is only yours. You have said, it's manifestation of a type, right, Margaret? It's manifestation of a type.
I am open to the event, meaning that all possibilities can occur. You can't just say, this fear of mine is going to manifest. It's like, no, the hope is on this side too. So we have the whole range there, but I am committed. Whatever, it doesn't matter what the outcome is, I am already committed to this, my focus.
Right.
And that is part of the discipline that is needed to be able to be without any distractions.
Yes. But I think the aspect that I'm trying to put there, probably inartfully, is that once you have committed to that which this accomplishment, whatever it may be, and you open yourself up, it's a step forward into the unknown with faith, from intention, with being, regardless of the fear, you've left that behind. And actually, regardless of the success, you've left that behind. The most important part was the intention and the step. As you said,
yes.
I do, because I'm stepping into the unknown. I'm opening myself up for space, for the power which I assume. I'm saying, I am this, I will do this, it will come. It comes because of the intention, not the other way around. So failure and success, I think, are really, these are the two traps, the two sides of the coin. You have to leave them both behind.
Mm-hmm. Because your experience is your experience.
Right. And our experience is that we've come to the end of this hour, and we probably need another one. I'm Michael Lyons.
And I'm Margaret. And thank you for listening.